All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to SIICaP Citizen Science in Disaster Risk Reduction and Management webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Christine Bantay of the Space Data Mobilization and Applications Division, and I'm one of your hosts for today. So, guys, did you know that July is National Disaster Resilience Month? Today's webinar session is PhilS's contribution to the celebration, and through this, we aim to advance citizen science as a critical component of our efforts for disaster resilience. Today, we'll hear from the founder of ODK and learn more about how we can use it for citizen science. We'll also showcase PhilS's efforts in advancing our country's disaster resilience.
Thank you, Ate Teen, for the brief introductions for today's webinar. I am Dan Vergara, also from SDMAD, and I will be your co-host for today. We would like to acknowledge our participants from various local government units, national government agencies, colleges, and universities. Just a few reminders for anybody on the webinar. Kindly mute your microphones and please turn off your cameras when not in use. If you have any questions for our speakers, please do not hesitate to raise your hand or type your questions in the Microsoft Teams chat.
All right, thank you for that, Dan. And now to officially start the program, Dr. Ariel Blanco, Director of PhilS's Space Information Infrastructure Bureau, would like to give us an opening message. Good morning, Dr. Ariel.
Magandang umaga po sa ating mga masikap. SIICaP, or the Space Information Infrastructure Capacity Building Program, is a training arm of the Space Information Infrastructure Bureau of the Philippine Space Agency. Through the able leadership of Nico Pante, SIICaP has been conducting webinars and other capacity building activities since last year. This program is closely connected to our network building activities under the PhilSA Integrated Network for Space-Enabled Actions Towards Sustainability, or PINAS. PINAS is envisioned to be an active network of institutions and people, or citizens, working together towards sustainability using space data and information. The networks are being established across sectors in cities, municipalities, provinces, and even regions. These networks can also operate at river basin level, or some defined natural boundaries, or some management units. Sectoral-wise, there will be PINAS NGAs, PINAS LGUs, PINAS Academe, PINAS Enterprise, PINAS CSOs, and PINAS Citizen Science. PINAS Citizen Science provides opportunity to any Filipino or even anyone in the Philippines to share data and information about our environment, agriculture, infrastructure, hazards, and many others. Citizen science involves the general public in the collection and analysis of scientific data. This can be done through a variety of methods, such as crowdsourcing, citizen-operated sensors, and participatory mapping. There are many benefits to using citizen science for disaster risk reduction and management. First, it can help to increase the amount of data available to scientists and decision makers. This can be especially valuable in areas where traditional data collection methods are difficult or expensive. Second, citizen science can help to raise awareness of disaster risk and build community resilience. When people are involved in collecting data, they are more likely to understand the risks they face and take steps to mitigate them. There are a number of different ways to use citizen science for disaster risk reduction and management. For example, citizen scientists can be used to collect data on hazards and vulnerabilities. This can include data on the location and frequency of natural hazards, as well as the assets and infrastructure that are at risk. They can monitor the environment for signs of impending disasters. This can include monitoring weather patterns, water levels, and other environmental indicators. They can also test and develop new methodologies for disaster risk reduction. This could include developing new early warning systems or tools for assessing risk. This morning, we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from Dr. Anokwa, founder and CEO of ODK Collect, and PhilSA's very own Engineer Ruel, OIC and Supervising Science Research Specialist of PhilSA's Space Data Mobilization and Applications Division under our Bureau. We thank you, Dr. Anokwa and Ruel. Citizen science is a powerful tool that can be used to improve disaster risk reduction and management. By involving the public in this important work, we can build a more resilient future for our communities. Everyone, let us become citizen scientists. Magandang umaga po muli. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Doc Ariel, for your welcome remarks. Our first presenter for today is Dr. Yao Anokwa. He will be introducing to us the ODK. Dr. Yao Anokwa is the founder and CEO of ODK, the offline data collection platform that helps researchers, field teams, and M&E professionals fight disease, poverty, and equity. He holds a PhD in computer science. Good morning, Dr. Anokwa. Thank you for joining us all the way from the other side of the world. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. Can everybody hear me? Can I see some thumbs ups or some? Can everybody hear me or see me? There we go. I see some thumbs up. Great, 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 great. Well, let me share my screen and make sure that everybody can see that as well. All right. Great. So you now should be seeing my screen. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be here today. I was actually just talking. I've got two kids, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I was just telling them I was going to be talking with the Philippine Space Agency, and they got so excited because they are obsessed with space. They love space, and so today I am a hero in my own house. So thank you for the privilege and the opportunity. My name is Yao Anakwa. As was said earlier, I am the founder and CEO of ODK. I helped to start the project almost, I guess, 15 years ago, and I have been leading it ever since. I'm based here in San Diego, so it's the evening here. But in today's talk, I'm just absolutely excited to share what ODK is, explain how it's used. If we have some time, maybe I can demo some features. And I will try to leave about 15 minutes at the end for some Q&A, some questions and answers. If you have any questions along the way, yeah, please do feel free to put it in the Q&A section in the chat, raise your hand. And also on the screen, you can see my email address and my LinkedIn profile. If you're shy and you don't want to ask the question publicly, you can always contact me and I'll do my best to answer your questions that way. So with that, let's get started. So what is ODK? ODK at its heart is an open source platform that lets you build powerful offline forms to collect the data that you need wherever it is. It's used primarily by researchers, by field teams, by M&E monitoring and evaluation professionals working in social impact. With ODK, you can build forms, and these forms can include photos, locations, they can include skip logic, calculations, external data sets. You can collect data in multiple languages. You can have repeating elements, you can play videos, you can scan barcodes, and so on. And all of this works entirely offline. It does not require an internet connection. You can use either our mobile app or the web app, and forms and submissions are synchronized in the background automatically when a cell or a Wi-Fi connection is found. Once the data is collected, we make it very easy to analyze. And so you can connect tools like Excel, Power BI, Python, or R directly to ODK so you can build live updating dashboards and reports. So at the heart, that's what ODK is. ODK is used by some 2 million people to send about 200 million form submissions every year. This map that you're looking at is from the last few months, and you can see that we've had users in every country in the world, including the Philippines, of course, every country except for North Korea. It's extremely popular global tool. most of these users, most of the people who use ODK are working in social impact. Here are some examples of some of those organizations. So groups like the World Health Organization uses ODK for disease surveillance. Groups like the Red Cross, they use ODK in pretty much every humanitarian action they take, both Red Cross and Red Crescent. In conservation, the Australian government uses ODK for the conservation of turtles. Food security, the World Food Program uses ODK for food assessments, and then the Carter Center uses ODK for election monitoring. ODK is so trusted and proven for data collection that I joke and I sometimes call ODK the Land Cruiser of data collection, because it's the standard. It's just the way things are done when it comes to offline data collection. Organizations trust ODK. Data collectors have been trained on it. Project managers know how to analyze ODK data. The app, the mobile app itself, works on 22,000 different Android devices. It's been translated into 60 languages. We support the Gregorian calendar, which most people use, but we also support the Ethiopian calendar, the Islamic calendar, the Myanmar calendar. ODK is used in cities, it's used in jungles, it's been used at sea. It's been used by a US president, Jimmy Carter, called it remarkable. And for this audience, does it work in space? That's a really good question. Yes, it does. It's actually been used on the International Space Station. My point is, for the last 15 years, ODK has been put through its paces and it just keeps working. It's very reliable. And so when there is an emergency, a disaster, or a crisis, and lives are at stake, people trust ODK because ODK works. And ODK works so well that it's sort of become a generic term. And so I thought I would take this moment to explain what is officially ODK and what is part of the larger ecosystem of tools around ODK. So to begin, there's ODK software like the ODK Collect mobile app that you can find in the Play Store, and the ODK Central Server that is sort of the back office tool. Then there are ODK services like ODK Cloud, which is our official fully managed hosting service. It's really designed for professionals who need guarantees of speed, stability, and security. Then there are ODK technologies like XLS Form, the XLS Form standard, the Enketo web forms are an ODK technology, and these are all maintained by the core ODK team. In the ODK ecosystem, the broader ecosystem of compatible tools, there are compatible servers that you might have heard of, like ONA and Kobo, that use ODK technologies. And then there are white labeled or branded applications like Kobo Collect. These are based on ODK Collect. They tend to be a few months older, and so they lack some features. Then there are apps that use old versions of ODK components and so are largely incompatible. So that should give you a sense of what's official, what's part of the ecosystem. But really, what makes an ODK tool official comes more from the core team's values and principles. So before we get into what the tools do, I wanted to just take a quick moment to talk about the values and principles that guide ODK, and that has guided the project for so long. The first is the mission. The reason we make ODK is to help researchers, field teams, M&E professionals like you make the world a better place. We believe that the best way to do that is to build sustainable public goods that put you in control of your tools and your data. And so what we build is built for you, and it's designed to be extremely flexible. So whether you are working in healthcare or in disaster response, you as a non-programmer can customize ODK to support your workflow. So those are a few of our values. When it comes to design principles, here are the big ones. First, we think it's really important that we do a lot of hard work on our side to balance simplicity and power. Sometimes that means that we won't always be first with a feature, but that's okay. We can take the time to get it right. We value transparency in everything that we do because we find that's how we build trust with the people who use ODK. And that's why A lot of ODK features, and I'll demo some of them, they give you visibility into what's happening with your data. And finally, we care deeply about performance. And when I say performance, I mean everything related to making the product great. We will not ship a feature that makes ODK slower. We will not ship a feature that makes ODK unreliable, and we will not ship a feature that makes it less secure. So these are our values and principles. So with that background, let's talk about the tools themselves, the apps that people use when they use ODK. The first you might be familiar with is called ODK Collect, and it's the mobile app that data collectors or field teams or citizen scientists use to collect data. Users love ODK Collect because the forms are powerful. You can accurately capture any data type you can think of, from pictures to numbers to GPS coordinates. And all of this, like I said, works offline. So it synchronizes the data when you're back online. And you can be out in the field for months at a time and it'll sync just naturally. It's really user friendly. We have millions of users and no training is needed to get started. And it saves you time. So you don't have to use paper anymore. You can use existing data sets. You can skip irrelevant questions, which makes the forms faster and so on. And then finally, it's customizable. You can make ODK yours with your language, your icons, your base maps. It's yours. Here are just 3 screenshots to just show you what's possible with ODK Collect. The first you've seen already, this is a form where a user is recording the audio of their form filling section. It's a form that's used for community health workers. And so you can record the training session whilst you're filling out the form to get a sense of how well the training is doing. And again, this is available today in ODK. Another screenshot shows you our more geospatial features. So this is a GeoJSON file, it's a polygon, and it's metadata that's being shown in ODK on an offline map. So you can select where you are or the object that you're interested in, the geospatial object, and you can use that object's location and its properties as part of your form filling process. That's available in ODK today. Here's an example of some of the customizations you can make as a non-programmer. So here is a form that is in Spanish where a user has a drop-down list, but instead of just text, the drop-down list includes pictures for options, all customizable by non-programmers. And then the last example is one of my favorites. Here's a form in Arabic, so with right to left support, of a Likert scale with pictures, some emoji pictures, and that person that you see there, that blue selection, the user can select what part of the body hurts. They can tap the head will be blue, and so these are examples of what ODK enables. It's pretty amazing what you can do with ODK. So that's the mobile app that the field teams, the citizen scientists will be using. ODK Central is the server that project managers or back office staff will use to manage the data collection. These folks love Central because of a few features. Let's talk about those. The first is performance. ODK Central is extremely fast on very low cost hardware. Even with hundreds of thousands of millions of submissions, it can be quite fast on hardware. That's a big differentiator. The second differentiator is that the integrations. We make it very easy to get your data in and out of ODK. Whether you're using our Python or R integrations, or you're just downloading it, or using Power BI, it's very easy to get your data out. And if you're a programmer or you're comfortable in Python or R, you can automate a lot of the actions that happen in ODK. So it's very easy to integrate, which makes it a valuable tool. Security, we use industry-leading technology to secure your data in ODK. Everything defaults to a secure configuration. Transparency, I talked, a little bit about this. Every change you make in Central is kept. We keep every version of every form and every change to every submission, and we log every action. So once data arrives in ODK, you have full transparency about what's happening to your data because everything is logged and timestamped. Finally, the reason that project managers love ODK Central is an exclusive ODK Central feature called Entities. This lets you collect data over time. It's great for multi-step workflows, like if you're doing a baseline survey and a follow-up, or you're doing site inspections, say after a disaster, or you're doing case management. Central has a lot of support, new exclusive support for these kinds of workflows that are fantastic. So rather than continue to just talk about all these features, I'd like to take this time to show you just a quick end-to-end demo of a very basic data collection process where we'll collect some data. I've got a phone here. We'll collect some data on the phone. We'll send it up to the server. We will look at some of the data. We'll edit it. We'll put it on a dashboard, and we'll do just a quick demo together. I always want to tell people that these demos are real demos. These are not canned. These are not pre-recorded. We always do live demos because one is that there's more exciting to do a live demo, but two, to show you that the software really does work. You really can trust it. You can absolutely use it at scale. So let's get started with that. Whilst I'm getting set up, I'm going to be moving some screens around. If you have questions, again, please don't hesitate to drop those questions into the chat, into the Q&A section, or raise your hand so the rest of the team can answer those questions and make sure that your questions are answered. So let me move some windows around here. All right, we'll do this. We will open some windows here. All right, there we go. Great. So what are you looking at right now? Right now, what you're looking at is ODK Central on the left-hand side. I'm going to scroll here so you can see it. And I have a phone in my hand here. And that's the same phone that you're looking at on the screen. Okay, so on the, I'm going to be doing the demo with the phone and the server. So on the server, we have a little sandbox. We call it the sandbox. And you can see in my sandbox, I have a list of forms, forms that I can use to fill out data. And you can see that the high-level sandbox just, the list of forms just shows you, what's happening with your particular project. So in this case, I can sort by alphabetical. I can sort by latest submissions. I can see that my latest submission came in 8 days ago. There's 59 submissions. 38 of them have been edited. So it just gives you a high-level overview of what's available. That's the overview. Let's talk a little bit about project roles. This gives you a sense of some of the permissions that we have. In this project, I'm the project manager, and so I have read and write access. I can add forms, I can remove forms, I can delete data because I'm a manager. Alen here is a project viewer. We don't trust her, so she can only see data. She can't make any changes to data. She can't make any changes to the campaign. Just gives you a sense of some of the permissions that we have available. We have app users as well. App users are the people who are using the app. They can be individuals like myself or Nick, or they can be teams of people. And this structure is really interesting because a lot of ODK projects are being deployed at scale. So you may have a project with 50,000 data collectors. And so you don't want to generate usernames and passwords for 50,000 people. That's impossible to scale. So what we do instead is that for each app user, either as an individual or as a team, you get these QR codes, and you can put these QR codes on a billboard. You can put it up in a training room, however you want to distribute it, over WhatsApp, over email. Once a data collector or a citizen scientist sees that QR code, they can scan it and it'll give them access to a particular set of forms. Okay, so in this case, I'm not team 1 or team 2. I'm Yao. So I'm going to scan the QR code with my ODK app. And I just downloaded this from the Play Store. When you launch ODK Collect on the mobile device, it asks you to scan the QR code. I'm going to scan mine. It beeped a little bit, and now I am connected. So you can see that here it says Sandbox, here it says Sandbox. So this phone is now connected to this server, which is fantastic. If we go into form access, we can see that Yao here, let me make this a little bigger. Yao has access to all widgets and the Sandbox survey. And in fact, if I go on my mobile device and I try to start a new form, indeed, I do have access to the Sandbox survey. If I uncheck all widgets and I hit save, the phone checks every 15 minutes or so. We don't have 15 minutes, so we'll just manually hit refresh, and you see that, right? So if I did the Brazzaville site visit, I hit save, I manually refresh, and that form is there. So let's fill out the Sandbox survey really quickly. It's going to say, what is your first name? I'm going to pick a name at random. I'm going to put Christine here. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to put Christina. I know that's a mistake. What's your gender? I'd say prefer not to say. So notice that the name that I put here is the same name that's being shown up in the form, right? So data can flow throughout the form as you're entering to make it easier. I'm going to see if I can change the language. Yes. If I change this form to Swahili, it works great. If I change the language to French, you can do that. So ODK is available. You can put whatever languages you want in the form. How old is Christina, or Christine in this case? I'm going to do the safest thing. I'm going to say that she is 19 years old. Notice when I put the number 19, it shows me a location question. But if I had said she was 12, it wouldn't show me that because we have logic and branching on the survey. I'm going to collect the GPS coordinate whilst I'm here. Great. GPS accuracy, usually 3 to 5 meter accuracy. You can collect points, you can collect traces, you can collect polygons. All those are possible. I'm not going to scan a barcode, but I am going to take a picture. And here, I told you my kids love space. So here I have a space shuttle, a Lego space shuttle here. So we'll add that there. We'll add that to the form. Looks great. We're at the end of the form. I'm going to hit send. The data has been sent to the server. So let's see it. I'm going to go to the overview, to the sandbox survey, under submissions. And there today at 7:26, there's a form from Christina. But her name isn't Christina, it's Christine. So let's go edit that data. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to say her name is Christine and say that maybe she's 21. There's the picture that I took. Everything is there. I'm going to hit submit. So the data has been edited. And in fact, when I go here, I can see that the data has indeed been edited. Let's go to more. Yes, it went from Christina to Christine, from age 19 to 21. Let's leave a comment. Christine got older. You can add some emojis in there, a rocket perhaps. And this is part of the transparency I talked about. You can see everything that's happened to this submission. You can see that it was sent at a particular time. These are the edits that were made and by who. This is who left a comment. You can see the form version, the device ID, the type of device that sent it. And so all this metadata about each submission is available. So there's full transparency, which is really essential. I like this form. I'm going to hit approved, and now it's been approved. Here's a list of some of the submissions I've entered. I can do things like say I want to see data from the last week, and that's data from the last week. I want to see data that has been approved. There's only one submission, and then I can download that single submission, or even do something like look at the picture that I just loaded. And here you can see it in the picture here. So you can download those submissions as a CSV, or reset the filters. You can reset the filters and download all those submissions, and it'll be made available to you. But nobody wants to be sort of downloading CSVs. That's a very manual process. So instead, we have an option called Analyze via OData. And what this does, this button does that, it gives you a link. And if you copy and paste this link into Power BI or Excel, into Python or R, you can build these really beautiful live updating dashboards. And so I'm going to show you an example of that. I have a little dashboard here that I'm going to load up if I can find my window. This is Power BI, and it's loaded in this window here. I'm going to go to the chart, and you can see that the data that I have, I'm going to try to do it side by side. I see Christine, I see Pierre, I see Emily and Mike on the server, but here I only see Emily, Pierre, Mike, Ryan, and Linda. I don't see any Christine because that's a new data. So I'm going to hit refresh on this dashboard. The dashboard is going to go out. It knows about the server. It's going to connect to the server, grab the latest submissions, and then plot them here on inside the chart. So we'll give it just a second. There we go. And there is Christine. You see Christine has loaded age 21. Let's do something a little crazy here. We're going to edit Christine's record and give her an age of 400. I'm going to hit submit, hit refresh in the dashboard, and we're waiting for Christine's data to show up in the dashboard. We see Christine now of age 400. So again, it is live updating as things progress. And you can do things like map the data. So here is Christine's data, I believe. Yep, there's Christine lat long on a map so you can see it in the dashboard. And this same technology works. This is Power BI, but let's say you don't want something that advanced. You just want Excel. Here is an Excel spreadsheet with similar data in there. It doesn't have Christine's data, so I'm going to go in and hit refresh. And we're looking for this row here. And there is Christine's data right there, age 400 as promised. And so if you're just using a spreadsheet, this is a live updating spreadsheet. You can do pivot tables and charts however you see fit. And all that's available in ODK. So hopefully that gives you a sense of the sort of the end-to-end flow of what ODK can do. Again, the heart of it is that it can let you collect the data you need, however complex that data is. It can let you collect that data quickly, accurately, offline, and at scale. I think my 30 minutes are up, so I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions that I can answer from the audience. And then I'll stop sharing my screen. Great. I'm seeing some questions here. So I'm going to do my best to answer these questions that I see in the chat, and we can go from there. Again, if you have any questions about what you've seen so far, please do drop it in the chat, and then we can go from there. Let's see. Can we have a copy of the lecture? Yes, this call is being recorded, and I'm hopeful that it'll be available on YouTube or some other sources, so you can refer to it at your leisure. So that's great. It has free software version. How is data security assured? That's a really excellent question from Antonio. The ODK is open source software. So what that means is that the source code, the recipe for making the software, is available for anyone to download and use. In the case of ODK, you can go to the ODK website, you can download the software and install it on your own infrastructure, and there's no cost associated with it. There's no software licensing cost or anything like that. Um, the the downside of that is that it means that you are responsible for the speed, the reliability, and the security of that software that you've installed. You are responsible for it. We provide a lot of documentation, we provide tutorials, and we also provide a community of practice, a forum with about 13,000 people who can help you if you are interested in self-hosting. If you're interested in something that's easier than self-hosting, let's say you have more budget than time, or you're collecting data in a professional context, then we offer a solution called ODK Cloud. ODK Cloud is the exact same software that you can download for free, but ODK Cloud takes that software and runs it on ODK's infrastructure. So we take care of the speed, the reliability, the security, we provide support, and so it's a software as a service that is turnkey and extremely easy to use. So that's an option as well. And as it's shown in the links that you can see, there's a lot of information there about our security and privacy. So what I can say is that on ODK Cloud, all data is encrypted in transit and at rest. And there's also end-to-end encryption if you don't trust our infrastructure, where you can manage your own keys. So that's a possibility for you as well. Jesse, so very secure. Jesse wants to know, how can you access the data sets via API? That's a fantastic question, and it's such a good question that I'm going to share my screen and show this to you. So there's a link in Central called API Access. If you click on API Access, it takes you to the documentation site, which shows you all the things that you need to know about ODK's API. So for example, here's how to list forms in JavaScript or in Java. And so we provide step-by-step examples for a lot of API actions. ODK's API is extremely powerful and flexible and well documented. And the reason I can say that is because the same API that's available to users is the same API that ODK uses in making ODK. That is to say, ODK Central is two pieces of software. There's a backend, which is the business logic, and the front end, that's the user interface. And the front end that you see, the front end that I've showed you, it's using that same API that you have access to. So you can access data sets of your API. You can automate things like create new forms, change forms, create app users, revoke access. All that is available via API. And we provide a RESTful API that you can use, or if you use R, you can use RUODK, or if you use Python, we have a PyODK library that you can use. Does it run in Ubuntu? It runs on any Linux system. It's packaged in Docker, but we recommend and suggest that people use the latest Ubuntu LTS. That's what we test on, and so that's what we guarantee. Yes, it's absolutely possible to set up your own server. We provide extensive documentation. If you go to docs.getodk.org, we have step-by-step instructions for how to install ODK on your own infrastructure. Okay, great. Can you export I think Raphael, can you export a shape file for points in GIS or just a CSV file? Currently, the best way to sort of export geographic data actually isn't in the CSV or shape file. If you use the OData feed, you can actually export well-known text. And if you're using a tool like QGIS, it should be able to connect directly to the server and visualize your layers that way. If you just want a CSV out, yes, you can export out as a CSV or a JSON file, and then look at the lat long and use that for your GIS. There's a question here about the accuracy of the ODK GPS. This is, again, a fantastic question. Ultimately, the accuracy of the GPS has more to do with the device. An average Android device, if you have a clear view of the sky, can get to about 3 to 5 meter accuracy. In ODK, we have some tricks that make that help you get to a faster location lock. So, for example, you can warm the GPS, or you try to collect the GPS in the background. But if you have a clear view of the sky, you should expect about 3 to 5 meter accuracy. If you need more accuracy than that, you're in good luck. You're in good company, because we do support external GPSs, and so we have some colleagues who work in Tanzania on OpenStreetMap, and those folks have devices that can get centimeter accuracy. So if you need really high accuracy GPSs, you can use external GPSs. ODK will talk to those GPSs and get that accuracy that you need. How does ODK show repeat group questions in an Excel file? Does it create a separate tab? Yes, when you have things like a household form with individuals in the household, it does show it in two separate tables when you export the data, sort of the parent table and the child table. So it's exactly what you expect. When the data is relational, it exports the data in multiple sheets. So let's see. I know I've been talking really quickly. There's 200 of you, so that's really amazing here. Let me look through the chat to see if I'm missing any other questions. Here we go. Here we go. I don't see any other. Let me look in the Q&A to see if there's things in the Q&A. In the Q&A, I see one question. How much does it cost an organization to use ODK Cloud? Hopefully you're still seeing my screen here. So I am going to go to getodk.org, go into the pricing, and our pricing is on the website, and I can talk very quickly about it. We offer sort of two primary packages that people can choose from. We have the standard package and the professional package. For each package, you have unlimited forms, unlimited users, both app users and web users, any kind of users unlimited. You're limited to 10,000 monthly submissions and 10 gigabytes of total storage. That's about 10,000 high quality images. You're limited to one project space. What's a project space? A project space has unlimited forms, unlimited data collectors, and you can assign forms to different data collectors. Multiple project spaces are typically for organizations who want to segment out data collection so a project manager in one project space cannot manage forms in another project space. You can think of project spaces as team spaces or workspaces. People use them for different countries or different sites. You can organize that as you see fit. So that's the standard. It's 169 a month if you're paying yearly. You're limited to basic troubleshooting and support over, it takes about 3 business days. If you're collecting data in a professional context, you might want to consider the professional package. Here again, unlimited forms, unlimited users. You get 30,000 monthly submissions, 30 gigabytes of storage, and 3 project spaces. The really key thing about the professional package is that it comes with professional support from the people who make ODK. So you get guidance on form building, reporting, API integrations, and importantly, your response time is 1 business day or less. So that's the pricing. It's public, you can see it. And we also offer a 14-day money back guarantee. If you try ODK Cloud and it doesn't work for you, just let us know and we'll give you your money back. So it's a risk-free trial. If this budget doesn't work for you, remember ODK is open source software. If you are technical, you can self-host it on your own server at no cost, and we provide excellent documentation for those who want to self-host. Let me look again at the chat and see if there are other questions that I am missing. Okay, great, great, great. I see Javier, for non-technical, can someone get it up and running for the self-hosting portion? I think it depends how well you follow instructions. Your success with self-hosting, it's helpful when you're self-hosting to know or to be comfortable following technical directions. And it helps to be comfortable in Linux. You know, it helps to be a technical person. If you are a non-technical person, um, then it's fine to self-host, but I wouldn't self-host in a context where the data collection is critical. If it's critical, if it's collecting in a professional context, you probably don't want to be self-hosting because when something goes wrong, you will be responsible for fixing it. We do our best to make the software secure, but it's a server, it's complex software. So if you're not technical, you probably should use ODK Cloud for your serious data collection. Okay. I'm going to again look through the questions. Again, if you have more questions, please do let me know. I'm looking through these as quickly as possible. I'm also going to check the Q&A to see if I'm missing anything in the Q&A. Is it possible, another great question, is it possible to engage someone from ODK to help us with a self-hosting setup? That's an excellent question, and we do actually address this in the documentation. So I'm going to point that out so you can see that in the documentation. You know, if you are technical, you can self-host ODK for free, the central server, but while this is available at no cost, you do want to take your time into account. So oftentimes I get a question like, I think Mari, my apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Mari said, you know, can I pay for somebody to install ODK for you? We offer support packages for organizations who need to self-host but don't want their staff to take on the added cost and responsibility of keeping a central install up. So yes, it's possible for you to pay somebody on the ODK team to help you set up a self-hosting setup. But the caveat is the support packages cost more per year than ODK Cloud. So if it's the cost that you're concerned about, ODK Cloud is a lot cheaper than the self-hosting support packages. So really, the folks, you know, if you need help with self-hosting, then that probably means that self-hosting isn't for you, because even if we help you with the install, you know, we ship updates and improvements to ODK every 3 months, and so you have to be comfortable about applying those updates. And if you're not comfortable with that level of technical requirement, then your ODK install will fall out of date and you'll be at security risk. So we generally say, if you need help self-hosting, that means that you probably shouldn't be self-hosting because you don't have the requisite technical skills required to host ODK reliably on your infrastructure. If it's not a serious project, if it's not in a professional context, then sure, you can try to self-host. But if it's serious, then yeah, you probably want either to use ODK Cloud or use ODK self-hosting or on-prem with a support package. Yeah, Marie, thanks for saying that. Yes, for your government partners, governments often have a legal reason or compliance reason where they need to host in country or on their own servers, and that's what those self-hosting support packages are for. They are for kind of larger institutions that they could self-host, but they don't want to take on the technical complexity there. So thank you for your excellent question. I'm going to again jump here into the chat. Great. I think I have answered everybody's question. There we go. I'm looking again in the chat. Okay. All right. I want to do, since I have a few more minutes, I want to do just point out a few resources that I think would be helpful as folks are considering their ODK journey, as it will. So I'm going to go to the ODK website. You can see we have our features and pricing. This link, the documentation link, is really important. ODK has extensive documentation on everything from how to set up the software, the difference between ODK Cloud and ODK Central self-hosting it. For example, if you wanted to learn how to back up ODK Central, we provide instructions for that. If you want to learn how to manage submissions, we have step-by-step instructions for pretty much everything in ODK, so it's very detailed. Then if you want to learn how to build forms in ODK, we use XLS form. This is the Excel-based standard that we maintain. And again, it has a template that you can start with, a form design template, lots of examples. If you want to know, for example, well, how do I collect data? I want to collect, let's say, I want to collect, an audio widget. I want to collect a sound widget. It shows you that this is the type, this is the appearance, this is what it will look like. If you want to use the built-in recorder, it explains all of that stuff in there. So there's an extensive documentation on how to use and how to be successful with ODK. So please use those resources. Another resource that's really critical, besides the documentation, is the forum. The forum is our community of practice. ODK is a community-oriented project. And so there's about 13,000, 14,000 people from all over the world who help us make ODK. And so if you're interested in contributing to ODK, you can join the forum, ask questions, you can participate in betas, you can help us translate ODK, and these are all valuable contributions. So you can see, for example, here releases, we have betas, and so you can subscribe to the beta and you can try features before they come out and offer your feedback. Your feedback is how we make ODK great. So if there's anything in ODK that's not working for you, then you ask, you post on the forum, you ask, and then we on the core team will respond to that feedback and build exactly what you want. So please do participate there. In this case, since I'm talking to a Filipino audience, I should note that we have a translation section here where you can help contribute translations. And so you can go to Transifex. I'm going to drop this in the chat. And as if you speak a different language, you can help us translate ODK into any number of languages. So I think let's see, our languages here. let's see. Let's see. So we have Indonesian. Yeah, so it seems like we got Tagalog. So yeah, our we need more help with the translation. So if you speak a different language, I'm going to drop this link. Yeah, there. Log in and help us translate ODK for your fellow users. So please do that. So yeah, those are the resources I wanted to point out. Well, you should be. Well, I see your point. There's a point there that Filipinos should be able to understand English. That might be true, but I'd like to say that um, it's sometimes very nice, even though you speak English and you may speak English very well, not all your countrymen speak English as well as you do. And so if you want to do citizen science or you want to do projects where it's national wide, it's really important to have languages that people are very comfortable in, native languages, other languages. And with ODK, people can change the language. So maybe they don't understand one word in the form, they can toggle the language from one language to the other to see what the translation is like, and ultimately it just helps people feel more comfortable. If English is your preferred language, fantastic. If you speak another language, please do translate it to help your fellow countrymen. It's a very helpful and an easy way to contribute. And yes, Mari's correct. Sometimes locals respond better if the questions are in their dialect. You just want to make people as comfortable as possible during the data collection process. So translating it is a great contribution to ODK. There's a question in here that says, aside from Power BI and R, from Jesse, can we use Tableau? I love Tableau. Tableau is a great piece of software. There is Tableau does not implement the OData standard that we rely on perfectly. And so you can use Tableau with ODK and it'll work for most forms, but there are some forms, maybe forms with repeats, maybe forms with, I think forms with traces of polygons. It doesn't do so well with complex forms. We've been asking our friends at Tableau to improve their OData support. They haven't done a great job there, but perhaps you can convince them. So ODK cannot export a GRIB file, but what I can say is that for most formats, you can use the API to pull the data and combine it to whatever format that makes the most sense to you. I don't know of the GRIB format, but it should be possible to use the API to get that format. Is there any limitation in terms of large data collection? Jay, an excellent question. Let's talk about size. So the biggest ODK form, as far as number of questions I have personally seen, is 9,000 questions. So that's very large. That's not a very sensible form, but the forms themselves can be quite large. So there's no limitations there. Is there a limit in terms of the file size? So when it comes to submissions, by default, we limit submissions on ODK Cloud to 100 megabytes. And so if you're collecting data over 100 megabytes, ODK Cloud will reject those submissions. But that's just a submission we've put in there because it seems reasonable. If you're on ODK Cloud and you have an enterprise account and you say, yeah, I want my data collectors to send in, I don't know, a terabyte of data, or then that's fine. There's no limit there. The reason we've limited to 100 megabytes is that that's what feels reasonable for our users. Most of our users are collecting data in places with unreliable internet, and so anything over 100 megabytes is going to use up a lot of data, and it's probably not going to be reliable. So there's no inherent size limit, but 100 megabytes is a good number to keep in mind as far as the size of each individual submission. As far as the numbers of submissions, we have projects that are collecting millions of records, hundreds of millions of records. So you should be fine as far as scale. Um, yeah, there are no natural limits to ODK. It'll work with pretty much any size. Maybe another example is that, what about a drop-down list? So let's say you want to select a list of trees or a list of households or a list of villages. Usually 50,000, 60,000, that's when ODK on a very low end device starts to slow down. But if you're collecting, you have a list of people and it's 50,000, it'll be fine. It's very performant on inexpensive hardware. Okay, great. I'm going to look again in the Q&A to see if I'm missing anything. No, I'm not missing anything in the Q&A. That's great. Other questions? Okay, it looks like I have a few minutes left, so I'm going to just end with, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to end with one thing. When I said in the beginning that it is sort of an honor to be here, I really do mean that. So I want to thank you for inviting me to be here to share some of the work that we do on ODK. It's a real privilege. And I also want to thank you, everybody on this call, for the work that you do. I think we make ODK, the team, we make ODK because we really do believe that tools like these can make the world a better place. So the folks on this call are doing the same thing. You're helping your fellow countrymen better respond to disasters and disaster response and plan and make sure that they're in the best possible position as a nation to save lives. So I really want to thank everybody on this call for making that commitment to making the world a better place and for the good work that you do. If there's anything that I can do personally or or the team or the ODK project can do, please, I beg you, please don't hesitate to let me know. I feel so strongly about this is that's my email address in the chat. You can find me on LinkedIn as Yao Nakwa. I respond to every email and every message I get, and I get a lot of emails and messages, but don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything I or the team can do to help support your work. We have a number of citizen science features that are coming in ODK in the web forms and the mobile forms. So please stay tuned for that. Yeah, thank you so much for the time. I'm going to hand things over to our MCs to see if they have anything else to say. But again, thank you so much for having me here.
All right, great talk from Dr. Yao. It's very nice to see how ODK is used around the world and how customizable it is to fit a user's specific needs. And we'd like to thank the audience as well for engaging and asking a lot of very interesting questions. So later on, we will hear how PhilSA uses ODK for disaster reporting. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Yao, for accepting our invitation to speak at this event. We are very honored to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Dan?
Have a great day. I have to go to bed, so I'll see you everybody later.
Can we have a
Before,
photo with you?
Can we have a photo with me? Of course.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
Let's have a photo opportunity right now.
Call for a smile.
Right. Please smile, everyone.
1, 2, 3. Oh, there's someone else. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you on the internet.
Bye.
let us now proceed to our next presentation from Engineer Roel de la Cruz. He will talk about citizen science for disaster. Sir Roel is currently the OIC of Space Data Mobilization and Applications Division of SIIB. He leads the DATUS project, which develops applications of satellite images for mapping and monitoring of environmental resources. He also leads the DHARMA, or Disaster, Hazard, and Risk Mapping Project, a sub-project of DATUS that caters DRR applications of space data. Good morning, Sir Roel. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you very much. And good morning to everyone who's here right now. Salamat po. Let me just share my screen. So for now, I will discuss how PhilSA uses ODK to gather data related to disasters. So as we've already heard a while ago, Open Data Kit or ODK is a free and open source toolkit that enables us to gather data. And actually, it's very, very easy to deploy as discussed by Dr. Yao. So it enables us to build forms, collect information, and aggregate those data using the servers. So how do we use ODK here in PhilSA? So aside from from disaster application, we use the PhilSA actually generate maps. So tulad nung nakikita nyo, this is a sample land cover map of Puerto Princesa, Palawan. These maps are unvalidated actually. We're using artificial intelligence to do these things because it will enable us to do this to create nationwide land covers. As you may already know, some of you there are worldwide land cover maps that you can get. Most of them from open source satellite images like Landsat and Sentinel-2. But usually those models do not necessarily fit the local settings in the Philippines. So mapapansin natin may mga mistakes doon sa land cover maps na yon. So what we're trying to do sa PhilSA is to fine tune no yung mga ganung models para mas magaling silang mag-extract or mag-map ng land cover sa settings natin. So since PhilSA is a small agency actually, wala kaming mga regional offices, wala kaming mga field offices, so we tapped ODK to help us no to gather validation data. So what we do actually is yung field workers natin, so or our partner LGUs or actually even the public, students, researchers, members of the public, they can collect data using ODK and contribute them para magamit namin sila to validate our AI models and or to improve no yung to improve yung ating detection. So halimbawa, kailangan namin ng data set to check kung vegetated itong lugar na to or hindi, we use yung mga contributed data tulad nito para gawin siya. So we can compute the accuracy or we can adjust accordingly yung mga data sets, yung mga algorithms na ginagawa ng PhilSA. So using data ODK, makokorek natin siya and of course yung mga maps na magagawa natin will be validated. Usually ang sinasabi namin sa mga local government units, especially sa mga workshops ng Pinas, Pinas is a network that PhilSA is building. Kung mas marami silang contributions no dun sa locality nila, mas ma-adjust natin yung algorithms or yung mga models dun sa lugar nila and mas maganda yung makukuha nilang land cover. And if we capitalize, for example, sa Sentinel-2, which is technically meron kang every 5 or 6 days na data, no? At kung wala kang cloud cover, pwede kang magkaroon ng land cover every 6 days or so. Kung wala kang cloud cover. So ganun kabilis yung generation natin ng ganito. So we can monitor yung mga changes kung ganun. For example, you can monitor deforestation, anong nangyari sa ating mga bentic maps sa field, kung meron bang mga illegal reclamations, may nagkakaingin ba, and so on. So yung mga ganun pwede natin gawin kung maayos natin yung ating AI models to detect land cover. This is just an example. So how about sa disaster? Paano naman natin siya ginagamit? So ganun din, we're asking the citizens no to gather data. Kung mapapansin niyo dito sa mapa dito may mga points diyan. Lagyan ko lang ng highlighter no. There are points diyan. So yun yung mga nagagather natin. So right now itong example ko ay galing pa sa data gathering namin from social media no, saka sa mga tweets and news reports. But if citizens can also contribute para ma-generate itong ganitong klase ng mapa, malaman namin kung nasan yung mga flooded areas, saan may landslides, saan may may effect ng earthquake or saan may sunog or may bushfire or and so on. So malalaman namin kung saan no yung mga areas na tututukan natin so that PhilSA can task our satellites para kuhanan yung mga lugar na yon. Or kung hindi enough yung satellites natin, we can activate some, no? So i-explain ko din later. We can ask help from other space agencies para kunan yung mga lugar na yon, and then we process those images to produce disaster maps. So how do we do that? So yung mga tao, we ask halimbawa ngayon si Egay, no, if ever sana na may gumamit ng ODK app natin and reported yung mga flooding na yon, mas madami yung magagawa natin na points. So pag marami yung points, alam natin na doon yung concentration kung saan maraming flooding. So doon tayo magpapatas ng satellite natin at ibibigay din naman natin yon sa mga local government units natin or sa mga DRM agencies, especially OCD and the RMC members para matulungan yung ating mga munisipyo or ating mga rescuers kung saan mag-allocate ng mga resources nila. So that's how we envision ODK as part ng citizen science contribution natin pagdating sa disaster. So let's go sa side na how do we submit yung data, no? Unlike doon sa pinakita ni Doc Yao a while ago na mga gagandang forms, no? Meron naman tayong basic forms. We'll improve that as we go on, no? So in summary, no, 4 na steps lang yung kailangan natin. First is you download the app. Yung ODK Collect app. So you download that and kapag nandun na kayo sa interface, okay? If you're sa interface, pwede nyong i-scan, no? Itong QR code na to. Okay? Click nyo lang yung configure with QR code and scan this QR code, tapos mapupunta kayo sa Pinas Network na form, no? Doon sa Pinas Network, nandito lahat kasi yung mga forms na ginagamit natin. So may mga various form kayo na pwedeng i-fill out. So for example, yung nandito sa screenshot natin, we go to the disaster incidents. So let's click that form and then pwede na tayong mag-submit ngayon. So pwede nyo nang ilagay kung ano yung event name na nakita nyo, and then at the end, pwede nyo nang i-save form and exit. To highlight din, no, yung itong app na to, pwede nyong gamitin kahit wala kayong internet, no? So pwede kayong pwede nyong i-fill out itong form na to, take pictures including yung location nyo, no? And then later, pag nagkaroon kayo ng internet o pumunta kayo sa lugar kung saan naka-connect na kayo sa mobile network or sa Wi-Fi, mag-sync siya, no? Masasubmit siya at masasend sa ating servers afterwards. So, ganito lang yung itsura ng form natin. If you scan this QR code, pumunta kayo sa Pinas Network, makikita nyo yung disaster incidents, type nyo siya kung ano. So pwede siyang flood, landslide, earthquake, kung anong klaseng damage man yung meron, or you can click yung others kung wala dun sa choices natin. And you can also add remarks, no? Kung anong gusto nyong sabihin sa kanya. Flooded na pala yan. For example, landslide, may natabunan na bahay. Of course, you can use English, you can use Filipino, prefer yung language. Mas maganda sana kung English or Filipino para maintindihan din namin pagdating dito sa amin. And then click yung start geopoint para malaman na para tingnan kung gaano ka-accurate yung GPS coordinates na meron sa cellphone nyo right now. If kaya nyo yung pinaka-accurate na possible, that's advisable, but hindi nyo kailangang maghintay ng matagal, no, para umabot siya sa accuracy na gusto natin. A few tens of meters is acceptable kasi kapag nagpa-capture naman tayo ng satellite image, ay kilometers naman yung sakop niya. So you don't have to wait na hanggang maging 3 meter, 1 meter, no, yung data ninyo. But of course, if building yung gusto nyo ipakita, mas maganda kung mas accurate yung position bago nyo siya i-submit. And then you click yung add photo para i-access nyo yung camera and you can take pictures. After you do that, pwede kayong mag-add ng multiple photos actually. So kapag nakakuha kayo ng picture sa lugar at ayaw nang mag-add photo, pwede na kayong pumunta sa next page and save form and exit. And then magsasubmit na siya pag may internet kayo dun sa servers na sinet up ng Philippine Space Agency. Usually yung mga data submitted ay nilalabas namin dito sa Space Data Dashboard, no? Of course, bago sila lumabas dito ay kailangan siyang i-review. I-review muna ng ating mga scientists, ng ating mga tao dito na nagma-manage ng server, no? Kung gusto niyong tingnan, no, yung sample contributions, pero sa land cover to, not the disaster incidents, pwede niyong puntahan itong link na pinapakita ko or pumunta kayo sa website ng PhilSA, space.gov.ph or philsa.gov.ph, tapos hanapin niyo rin yung Space Data Dashboard. This dashboard actually, or this web page ay initial muna na website ng PhilSA while we are doing yung proper space dashboard that we will release later on. So marami kayong actually applications na pwedeng makita dito. May mga traffic monitoring dito during the pandemic, makikita nyo, or yung mga ships na na-detect namin sa mga selected pa lang naman, selected na ports. May mga data for air quality that you can download, actually temporal data. May mga water quality din, may sample ng night light kung paano siya magagamit, and then may isang sample lang ng land cover sa NCR na hindi nilinis, just to show, no, na yung possibility ng paggamit ng satellite image. And marami pa kayong ibang tabs dito sa left side, yung mga dark circles dyan. Meron din dyan, Leo Tracker. Actually, kung gusto nyo malaman kung anong availability ng internet anywhere in the Philippines, you just click that, click a location in the map, and sasabihin niya sa'yo kung anong oras in a 24-hour period merong availability ng satellite internet sa lugar. So, there are tools right now na available dito sa website that you can use. But my target now is yung nandito sa baba, yung may logo ng Pinas. This one, if you click that, mapupunta kayo dito sa site na to, no? So ito yung mga result ng mga yung contributions na binigay sa atin ng ating mga participants during the forums, no, na ginawa namin sa Pinas. So meron ditong land cover fieldwork, water fieldwork, and disaster incidents. So ditong disaster incidents, usually tinatanggal muna namin yung mga data. While pending pa yung adoption talaga ng citizens. So that's why we're doing yung mga webinars like this para as a information campaign na pwede natin gamitin to report incidents. Okay? So paano natin ginagamit yung dataset na nakuha natin, no, pag nag-submit na kayo? So nakita niyo itong slide na kanina pinangita ko. I've discussed this before also kung suki kayo ng SIICaP. Nakita niyo na itong slide na to before. Yung mga data na nisasubmit nyo tulad nito ay ginagawan namin ng mga bounding boxes like this one, yung mga red. At ito yung sinasubmit natin sa mga nagtatask ng satellite dito sa PhilSA, sa ating Space Mission Control and Operations Division. At ito din yung binibigay natin sa Sentinel Asia, sa International Charter Space and Major Disasters para humingi ng tulong at kunan ng image yung mga target natin ng mga AOIs, no? For example, for this EGAI, we will activate after this webinar, no, yung Sentinel Asia. So within Asia naman yung within Southeast Asia yung coverage noon. So usually si JAXA tinatas niya yung mga satellites niya para kuhanan yung mga request natin. But if we go to this, no, International Charter Space and Major Disasters, mas maraming mga agencies, space agencies, pati commercial satellite providers, mas maraming magiging contributors dito. So may Germany, may Canada, may US of course, may UK and so on. So lahat ng mga to, so imagine yung mga satellites nila ay kapag napadaan sa Pilipinas and they have opportunity to capture dun sa lugar na gusto natin, ay itatas nila yung satellites na yon, bibigay nila sa atin yung image na yon for free sa PhilSA, and PhilSA will process them, and then yung mga value-added products na tinatawag natin, yung mga flood maps, landslides maps, and so on, yun yung dinidistribute natin sa public. So, publicly available and free, lagi, of course, non-commercial use, yung mga dataset na na-extract natin from that. So, this is an example, no, nung flood map na pinoproduce natin. Yung mga red dyan ay mga detected ng AI na floods, no, from Sentinel-1 images. Sentinel ay galing sa Copernicus, yung space agency ng Europe, no, European Space Agency. So ganito natin siya nire-release. Some other outputs na nakikita na distribute na natin before. This is before and after image sa Maguindanao noong 2022. So ganito siya 2 weeks before and ganito na siya after 2 weeks. No, kuha ng same satellite. No, nagkataon na medyo hindi cloudy dun sa lugar. That's why nagpass yung satellite nitong October 14, tapos yung next pass niya noong October 30 ay nakuhanan ng malinaw yung image na yan. So this area, no, pinapakita ulit natin yung halos same location, no, same date na nakuha yung image. At yan, actually mas na-appreciate nung public, no, na ganito siya, na ito dati tas ito siya ngayon. But if yung ating mga responders o yung ating mga local government units ay may mga dataset, binibigay din namin yung shape files, no? Itong mga red na nakikita nyo sa mapa, so that you can overlay kung ano mang data meron sa munisipyo. For example, if they want to count kung ilang bahay yung inabutan ng baha na to, kung gusto nilang tingnan kung ilang ektarya nung agricultural area nila yung naabutan ng baha na to, for them to estimate, no, yung mga response na gagawin, pwede nilang gawin yon, no. So right now kasi si PhilSA, we don't have that type of data. That's why we're distributing itong data na to para yung mga may data set ay pwede siyang i-process, and of course pwede siyang i-distribute again, no. So ito yung kaya natin siya ginagawa. Another example, we can also map yung extents ng landslide, bilangin kung ilan yung mga bahay na naapektuhan doon. At then using these maps, no, masasabi natin kung ano yung coordinates ng mga bahay na nandyan para dun sa mga responders natin ay informed, no, yung paghukay nila or whatever, no. So of course, kapag ganitong may debris flow, kailangan i-adjust yung coordinates kasi posibleng yung mga bahay na nakikita natin doon sa pre-event images ay naanod na, no, pababa kung saan man yung direction ng flow. So ayun. And also, ginagamit din natin si satellite imagery, no, to tag yung damages. For example, we can tag heavily damaged infrastructure, partially damaged houses and infrastructure. And itong mga to ay, again, dinidistribute natin. We can also process, no, yung mga dataset ito, kuha ng SAR, no, and based sa temporal na imagery, no, in-estimate natin kung ano yung probability, no, na damage ng mangrove, for example, low damage, high damage, at saka yung mga ibang no data. So ayun, and hopefully, no, this is my last slide. Hopefully all of you sorry for that. Hopefully yung mga yung next, no, na event na kung magkakaroon man tayo, actually may paparating na naman na bagyo, hopefully wala masyadong effect, ay magkapag-contribute tayo using ODK para matulungan yung data gathering and monitoring ng ating mga personnel dito sa PhilSA para magamit natin yung space assets natin sa pag-respond sa mga disasters. So that's it. Thank you very much. You can follow us sa PhilSA, sa Facebook, sa Twitter, sa Instagram, sa LinkedIn, sa website, and pwede nyo kaming i-email sa info@philsa.gov.ph if you have other questions outside of this. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Sir Roel, for showing us how the Philippine Space Agency uses ODK for disaster reporting. But this is actually a team effort, and maraming nag-contribute para mabuo itong customized ODK ng PhilSA. So maraming salamat din sa lahat ng contributors. We are hoping that our participants at this webinar will use this to report disasters to help us create more accurate maps. All right, we are now in our Q&A session for a second presentation. If you have any questions for Engineer Roel de la Cruz, please use the chat to type your questions. So we are actually seeing some questions here for Sir Roel. First question is, how does PhilSA ensure the quality and accuracy of the data collected through citizen science for disaster risk reduction? Quality and accuracy daw po.
Ayan. Regarding sa quality muna, no, syempre may picture and may GPS coordinates, so hopefully tama siya. And kapag single contribution siya, syempre we put doubt in it, no. Pero kung marami na rin other contributors na within that same area, So we can have a higher tawag dun, higher confidence na tama yon, no? So tinitingnan din natin dito kung mukha bang nanloloko ito or hindi. No, regarding sa ano naman, may GPS coordinates naman na kasama, so makikita din natin siya. Regarding sa ano nga ulit yung next question? Sorry. Yung other question kanina. How do we use it? Sorry, hindi ko nakuha yung second part ng question. So anyway, yes, kinukusin muna sa PhilSA yung yung dataset bago natin siya gamitin. Regarding sa accuracy, yes, we use the GPS coordinates naman and yung katabing contributor kung tama siya. Okay?
Next,
Quality and accuracy. Okay, got it.
for the next question from Sir Chris Marpunsal, I think about po to the space data dashboard. Can we download the land use map in shapefile format? Or anong format po ng land use map data?
Okay. Actually, hindi siya land use, no? It's a land cover extracted from satellite imagery. Right now, hindi nyo siya madadownload sa Space Data Dashboard. But you can get them from PhilSA, from us sa SDMAD actually. Meron kaming project din sa dito that distributes those images. And if mag-member kayo sa Pinas Network, you will receive those data sets. Binibigay namin siya ng free. All you have to do is ask for it, gawa ng request letter para makuha yung dataset na yon. Kung nag-exist na siya, mas mabilis niyo makuha. If hindi pa, then it will take time na i-process siya dito sa PhilSA bago ma-balik sa inyo. So, pwede kayong mag-send ng request sa smcod@philsa.gov.ph. So, someone will type that sa chat siguro.
Thank you, sir. For the next question from unknown user, how do you correct or filter these submissions on land cover fieldwork and disaster anecdotes?
Manual po namin siya ginagawa. So, iniisa-isa namin yung mga data sets bago siya gamitin as validation. Siyempre pag halimbawa meron na tayong na-produce na mapa based from our classifications, no? At gusto nating i-verify kung tama ba sila, we get information galing dun sa contributions natin. Siyempre hindi lahat 'yun ay kinukuha natin, no? So parang tapos i-filter pa 'yon nung taga-process natin at i-overlay 'yon dun sa mga mapa na na-generate natin para tingnan kung tama ba or hindi yung detection natin. So iniisa-isa po 'yon na tingnan at gamitin siya as validation data. So ganun po ginagawa natin. Dun sa disaster kasi dun sa update ng algorithm, mas stricto, no? Yung ginagawa natin doon kasi algorithm yung kailangan i-adjust. But for disaster, medyo nagbibigay tayo ng mas maluwag na leeway para doon kasi we need many data, no? Madaming data as much as possible para malaman natin saan yung concentration nung mga incidents na nire-report. So yun yung goal natin. So that's why mas maluwag yung ating yung quality checking or quality assurance natin pagdating sa data gathering for disaster. And in the end kasi hindi naman yung points yung kailangan natin. Ang kailangan natin ay polygons na malalaki yung area para makapag-task tayo. So ganun kasi yung reason natin. So halimbawa, merong sa isang munisipyo, for example, merong 10 na nag-report ng flood tapos may isa na nag-report ng landslide. That's okay. Kasi kapag nag-task tayo, lahat naman yung area na yun ay makukunan, and pag process natin, we will still process both for flooding and kung merong landslide na nakita doon, yun din naman yung ipaprocess natin. So, kaya if you get na mas maluwag yung quality checking natin for disaster applications. Parang kasi kapag magkamali ka man doon, no, kunan mo pa din. Kung magkamali ka man, that's okay. Pero what if yung pinaghinalaan natin na mali ay tama pala siya, at nakapag-save tayo ng lives, it's better. No? So may mga sacrifices na kailangan nating gawin pagdating sa disaster part. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, next question po from John Love Jesta. Applicable po ba ang ODK to all types of phone or may specific specification po na required?
Actually, sa ngayon yung meron pa lang ay sa Android, no, dito sa ODK. So mas ano natin siya, mas yun yung ginagamit natin. Regarding specification, uh, medyo nag-update naman na yung mga phones ngayon. I think if you can Facebook and if you can YouTube, makakagamit kayo ng ODK. I'm sorry, hindi ko alam kung anong OS ba dapat yung gagamit, anong Android version ba dapat yung gagamitin para magamit siya. Pero pag napapanood mo tayo ngayon dito sa Teams using your mobile phone, definitely you can use ODK for that.
Meron pa po, from Liz. Good morning po. May ground validation din po ba kayong ginagawa?
Yes, yes. We go to the field actually. So, as normal na process na ginagawa nung SDMAD, kapag sa ganito, pumupunta pa rin kami sa field. Kami mismo gumagamit ng ODK kapag kami ay nag-field work. So, yun din yung ginagamit namin. Kumukuha kami ng pictures and so on. So, yes, we do ground validation.
Next question po. Are there any training or capacity building programs provided by PhilSat to enhance the skills and knowledge of citizens participating in citizen science projects?
Yeah, so far, no, ang ginagawa ng PhilSA ay yung Pinas workshop. So yung Pinas kasi is PhilSA Integrated Network for Space-Enabled Actions Towards Sustainability. So gumagawa siya ng network ng academic organizations, network ng LGUs, network ng national government agencies, network ng public, saka network ng mga private institutions, no, para maging user ng space data. So far, no, yung webinar, yung forums na ginawa namin ay sa Ilocos, sa Palawan, sa Mindoro, sa Iloilo. So far yun na yung mga napuntahan namin na lugar. Ngayon, so far for citizen science applications, pangalawa pa lang to publicly na ginawa namin siya. Yung una is yung isang media event, no, wherein we introduced this ODK for disaster, and the second is this webinar under SIICaP, no. But later on, magkakandak din yung SIICaP ng mga hands-on trainings na ganito, but hindi pa siguro in the coming few months. So ayan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ruel. May follow-up question po dun about sa pag-validate ng land cover submissions. How do you validate land cover submissions on very remote/inaccessible areas? Are there ODK submissions on cases like this?
So far, wala pa po, no? Wala pa so far. So that's why we are embarking on these IEC activities, no? Information and education campaigns para dumami yung contributors natin sa mga ganong lugar. Of course, may default naman tayo na ginagamit na models para i-extract yung information sa mga inaccessible places. Pero kung merong hindi naman natin pipilitin yung mga tao na pumunta dun sa mga inaccessible places na yon. So, ayun. And usually sa mga fieldworks namin, gumagamit din kami ng drone para tumulong dun sa data gathering and validation ng bang lugar na yun. Pero on selected areas only.
Next question po. Na-mention niyo po na meron po na data for air quality monitoring. Meron po ba kayong historical data ng ground measurement for CH4 emission ng rice cultivation?
Hmm. Ha. Hmm. Actually, yung air quality data no, na nandun sa space dashboard ay extracted from or interpreted or processed using satellite imagery. So, naka-based po yun dun sa nakuhang data ng sensor na dala-dala ng satellite. For ground measurement, wala po tayo right now, sir, no? So, para dito sa methane emission ng rice, no, I heard meron yatang mga balak na studies for this one. So, let's see later on kung ano yung maging result. But theoretically, hindi pa namin ginagawa dito sa PhilSA right now, specifically yung methane emission measurement using satellite image. Pero I think it's possible na pwede siyang magawa. Pero directly to answer the question kung meron tayong historical ground data, wala po. Ang data po natin ay based from historical satellite images po or satellite records for that. Thank you.
From anonymous user po, how do you change base map sa space data dashboard po? At atong din to kay sir.
Change ng base map. Currently dun sa dashboard,
Sir.
I don't know if dinisable nila yon. Dati pwede kang mag-change, may button lang somewhere dyan so that you can change yung background mo, no? Pero I think naka-disable siya right now. So baka hindi po niyo magagawa yun ngayon. Thanks.
Next question. From Jessie Floren, can we invite PhilSA for a training in the use of ODK for land cover mapping, especially mangroves and fish ponds?
Yes po, yes. Of course, we would love to do that. We would also like to introduce yung mga other projects ng PhilSA kasi we'll also do benthic mapping and mangrove mapping, no? So, as a matter of fact, yung mangrove mapping natin for 2023 ay kasama dun sa Memorandum of Agreement ng PhilSA with DNR. So, yes, send us an email or message and pag-usapan po natin after this, no, kung paano po yung coordination para makapag-conduct kami ng training or makapag-conduct din ng joint validation or research agreement with you, no? Dun sa nagtanong. Thank you po. Looking forward sa meeting you, no? Para po dito sa topic na to.
For the next question po, what are some future plans or expansion strategies of PhilSA regarding the utilization of citizen science in disaster risk reduction and management?
Wow, parang pang Miss Universe na yung tanungan natin, no? Actually, may balak kami na gumawa ng citizen science app talaga sa PhilSA, no? Of course, if you create an app like that, syempre kailangan natin ng pondo. Of course, we're a government agency, no? Kailangan natin ng pondo, kailangan natin ng developers para gawin siya. Though meron tayong mga developers sa PhilSA and so on, may mga other things din tayong ginagawa. So, future looking, no, hindi naman to years in the future, months maybe in the future, next year or so, gagawa din tayo ng app na specific for citizen science contributions na tulad nito. And most probably, no, yung app na yon ay hindi na natin i-reinvent. Gagawa ng app na ang front end ay developed by PhilSA pero ang magiging back end pa rin ay yung ODK kasi as you've heard kanina, maganda yung interface, maganda yung implementation. Para hindi na tayo mahirapang mag-setup pa ng mga bagay-bagay, ay pwede namang gamitin na yung ODK as backend, and yung interface na lang natin dun sa Citizen Science app natin, yung ipa-develop natin dito sa PhilSA. So watch out for future announcements para dito sa Citizen Science app na to. But para kasi mapabilis yung mga bagay-bagay, at since prone tayo sa disaster, may incoming El Nino pa, ini-introduce na namin ito para somehow makapag-build na ng network, mabuild na yung mga tao, yung mga contributors, para by the time na meron na tayong magandang interface app na user-friendly, etc., ay madali nang mag-transition into that app. Okay? Thank you.
Next question po. All of the citizens po ba kayang ma-access yung data from the agency or satellite?
Okay, so depende sa satellite na kailangan, no. May mga free and open source na mga satellite images. For example, yung Landsat, yung Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, lahat ng Sentinel na pangalan na satellite ng European Space Agency, libre po natin silang makukuha. Yung MODIS data, yung VIRS data, marami pong free. May mga websites po sila, may mga distribution portal sila kung saan pwede kayo mag-sign up doon at makapag-download ng mga data na kailangan ninyo. Tapos meron ding mga satellite na commercial, no? Yung mga commercial na yon, kailangan mong ng subscription, kailangan mong magbayad. Actually, ngayon, pwede ka nang bumili ng satellite na sobrang liit using your credit card. May mga ganung businesses na outside the Philippines na gumagawa nun, at pwede kang bumili actually on your own. So, yes, anyone can access data. Actually, satellite image lang yung tinutukoy ko, no? Actually, ngayon, while you're here, no, you're already accessing satellite data. Yung phone mo, no, may GPS yan. It's a satellite information. Yung weather information na nandiyan sa phone mo, it's satellite information. Yung Google Maps mo, yung mga buildings na nandoon, yung mga features na nandoon ay updated using satellite. So user ka na talaga ng satellite data whether you like it or not. Ayun, but if ang tinutukoy ay pwede ba silang mag-request sa PhilSA ng satellite image ng ganitong lugar, depende kung saan niyo po siya gagamitin. You just send your request sa satellite image. Technically lahat pwede, but of course kung commercial purposes po siya ay hindi po siya binibigay ng PhilSA. Okay? Meron po kasing separate na business development unit sa PhilSA, so doon po yung mga commercial applications. Doon sa mga public applications, pwede nyo pong kunin sa amin anytime. Academic, public applications.
Okay, sir. Where can we find resources to contribute or partake in citizen science applications? Thank you po.
May na-publish na yung PhilSA. Actually, I think nasa website namin, saka nasa Facebook page namin yung QR code, no, na scan nyo using yung pag na-install nyo yung ODK Collect, or kung na-scan nyo kanina dun sa presentation ko, better din. Pero pwede nyong balikan sa website and sa social media pages ng PhilSA yung QR code na yon para makapagsimula na po kayong mag-fill out ng form and contribute po dito sa disaster, land cover, or water field work po na ginagawa ng PhilSA.
From Keishel Martinez po. Hi, Sir Ruel. In the advent that PhilSA would be able to make public the citizen science app, would the data collected be also open access? Assuming I'm a student who wants to do a project on utilizing satellite data.
Yes, yun yung balak natin, no. Napansin niyo yung hashtag sa picture ni Dan, no, hashtag space for everyone. So kung contributed siya publicly, nasa picture ko din pala, sorry. Sa screen ko kasi si Dan lang nakikita ko. If it's contributed, no, by public, it can also be used by the public. So yun naman yung goal natin for all these data sets na magamit ng lahat. Hindi lang PhilSA ang gagamit, pati yung mga researchers natin ay magamit din siya. Thank you.
From unknown user po. Hi, Sir Ruel. How do you engage the public? Do you organize trainings to teach them how to use ODK Collect?
So far, ang nagagawa pa lang namin ah, ay yung press conference and ito and kasama sa discussions kapag may Pinas forums kami. So yun pa lang yung organized programs para dito, no. Pero later on, no, magre-release rin kami ng mga infographics and so on para dito sa ODK Collect usage na to.
Okay. From J. La Chica po. Possible po ba in later time makapag-produce din po kayo ng topo maps 1:10,000 scale? TY po.
Hindi po, no, hindi po. Kasi yung topographic mapping ay mandate ng NAMRIA, no, ng National Mapping and Resource Information Authority. So any topographic mapping na gagawin sa Pilipinas ay si NAMRIA po yung gagawa nun, no? So yun po yung sagot doon, sir. Thank you.
From Jessie Floren. Kanino po kami mag-email for a possible partnership?
Okay, for possible partnership, pwede kayong mag-email sa info@philsa.gov.ph saka sa siib@philsa.gov.ph. Okay? So sabihin nyo lang, "Hi Dan, we want to be your partner." So sasagutin po namin 'yan. Thank you.
May tanong po pala about dun sa differences between the basic and pro versions of ODK. Kaya sir?
Regarding that, baka hindi ako yung makasagot doon. If you would want, no, pwede namin kayong i-connect sa aming friends na sa aming technical people, no, na para sagutin po yung tanong na yun. Pero well, ang difference ay yung isa may bayad, yung isa wala. So yun lang yung alam ko na difference between those two. Kasi sa PhilSA, no, ginagamit namin yung free version kasi we have our own server to cater those data sets, no, kung saan nilalagay yung data natin at and so on. But if you don't set up that server sa inyong sa agency ninyo at gusto nyong mag-avail ng storage and such, no, you may have to pay dun sa pinakita kanina na pricing ni Dr. Yao.
Okay, thank you for all your questions. I hope you learned a lot this morning. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for supporting SIICaP. We wouldn't be here without your support. To conclude our webinar, we would like to welcome Engineer Romer Christy Aranas of the High Performance Computing and Information Systems Divisions.
Thank you, Dan. So good morning, everyone. It's a shame na umalis na si Dr. Yao. I would like to say din sana na we're also honored na pumunta siya dito. I think there's no bigger praise than a toolmaker endorsing of how you're using their tools. So we picked, sa PhilSA, we picked ODK dati because we needed something na free and open source para if we have partners and we need to do capacity building, we can share it with them. And something also na we can roll out quickly para magamit agad. So I think this webinar has actually been a validation of our technology choices. So for the audience, thank you very much for your time. I hope natuto kayo about citizen science and you've added a new tool to your citizen science efforts in the form of ODK. So we hope you learned something and we look forward to your contributions. So join the mission. Thank you for your time and I hope to see you sa future SIICaP events. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Engineer RK, for the closing remarks. Before we send the evaluation link, may we please ask for a photo opportunity with everyone? Please turn on your cameras if possible and hold your smile for a few seconds as our SIICaP team takes screenshots. Right? We're waiting for everyone to open their cameras. Just a few more seconds before we take the photo.
Call for smile.
Okay, smile everyone.
Second page. Again.
Second page.
Smile again.
Smile again, everyone.
Okay. Done.
Okay, thank you very much. That's it for our webinar today. For participants, please complete the evaluation form to receive your certificate of attendance. The link will be posted in the chat box. Thank you for joining the mission. Please continue following the PhilSA journey. Visit our website and follow our social media for updates. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
have it. I think it.